The average golfer doesn't play golf, he attacks it. Jackie Burke. Right, so let's go to Thorpe Wood Golf Course, just around the Peterborough area in the UK. We're going to go here because this is where my friend Tom plays. So I set Tom a challenge and I asked him to video it, but unfortunately the weather was awful, so we can't use the audio. And he shot it in portrait, not landscape, because he's not a YouTuber. He does do a lot of stuff on Instagram under the name of Half a Swing Golf. Well worth a follow. Lots of funny memes and things like that. And he's also just set up a podcast as well. So yeah, go and check it out. So Tom is a 22 handicapped golfer. And as the handicap would suggest, on some of the more difficult holes, sometimes you can get a little bit carried away and bite off more than you can chew. And that's where the big numbers come from. So what I wanted to do with Tom is set him a circuit breaker challenge to give him a new insight and look into the hole from a completely different perspective. So in order to do that, I asked Tom to go and play the hole with one club and a putter. Any club of his choice. That was down to him to choose, but one club and a putter. Then I asked him to go and play the same hole, so loop back round again, and play the same hole with two clubs, any two clubs, but two clubs and a putter. Then we went round and did it 3 and then 4. And ultimately, like I said, to see how this panned out and to see what the experience taught Tom. And Tom does explain that at the end. And I think that is where the real gold is. Information is not knowledge. The only source of knowledge is experience. You need experience to gain wisdom. Albert Einstein. Let's show you the hole that we picked. So like I said, it's a stroke 1 index hole. So it's a 430 yard par 4. Which might not look too difficult. It's pretty much straight down there. There's a bunker in the middle of the fairway. But other than that, it's pretty much straight down there. And it might not look that difficult to you. However, So what I was trying to highlight there is the reality that even if you hit 2 of your absolute Sunday best shots, you're still unlikely to get home in 2 on this hole. But with the handicap system and how this all works, we don't have to. I'll explain more about that later on. You could stand on that tee and think to yourself, it's a long hole, I need to give it some extra. So you do. And you then lose the quality of strike and lose the direction. Ball goes into trouble, and then you think to yourself, well, I want to now try and get that back into play and get that into a good position. Then you try the hero shot, which usually works out even worse than the original idea. And before you know it, this is where it all spirals out of control, and this is where the big numbers come from. I'm going to buzz through the footage very quickly, and we'll get to Tom's insights and what Tom learned.
Perfect.
There's a couple of things that stood out for me from what I tried this morning. One was that having limited clubs made me engage with the shots way more. I thought about where I was actually going to put it rather than just hitting it, just hitting driver and then thinking, well, it doesn't matter, I've got 13 other clubs that can go whatever yardage it lands on. So I was planning a bit from the green backwards, I guess. The other thing was that I think given the chance to do it again, I wouldn't hit hybrid so much. On the drive home, I was thinking, and I thought, well, I got a 6 just using a 7 iron, and I was hitting that 7 iron nicely. And when I introduced a hybrid in the bag, other than that first one off the tee, I didn't really catch one clean. Probably would have gone driver 7 iron, which on a 450 yard hole, if I hit my driver 200 yards, I've got 250 left. If I hit my 7 iron around 150, it's going to give me a 100 yard shot. I'd rather have a 100 yard shot every day of the week than a 50. Yeah, and the only other thing I think is that on a 450 yard hole, especially in the winter, I'm going to struggle to make that in 2. And so the strategy needs to be to make sure I'm on in 3. If I hit a worldie and it goes close, then I've got to putt at par. But if I'm trying to hit my longest clubs perfectly, it's probably where I'm going to get into trouble. So I've had a couple of 5s. I've never had a 4. I've had a couple of 7s. I've had a couple of bigger ones too. But yeah, giving myself the best chance to get that 5 and 6 at worst, I guess is the way that I will approach that hole going forward. Hopefully I won't have to do that on every single hole on my course in order to have these kind of revelations. But yeah, being realistic, clubbing to your skill level, not to, I don't know, PGA Tour level.
There we go. We're getting more engaged into the shots, which means we then stop focusing and fixating on our golf swings. And we stop playing golf swing, and then we can start playing golf, which is ultimately the ability to get a golf ball around a golf course. Par should be dictated by your handicap. So if you are an 18 handicapper, it means you get an extra shot on every hole, aka all the 3s become 4s, all the 4s become 5s, and all the 5s become 6s. Literally on the scorecard, scrub it out and change it to the par that dictates by your handicap. If you don't have a handicap, you've probably got a pretty good idea of the number you're looking to shoot, or the kind of numbers you do regularly shoot, and try and work to that. And you could always, if you wanted to, you could always knock off a few of your handicaps. So Tom could easily put himself as down as a 18 handicapper for say, and just try and play to that par. Now, this does require you to remove your ego, which is really, really difficult to do. However, this is actually what the best players on the planet are doing. They aren't going out there trying to shoot as many birdies as they possibly can. Try and shoot level to your par and expose your true skill and ability level. And you will be surprised to see just how low you can actually go by doing this. So thanks a lot for checking out the video, and thank you so much for all of the support and all of the messages I got on my previous video. It was overwhelming and humbling to get those messages back again. I've really missed doing this, and I can't wait to do much more. So see you next time. Cheers. Forget your opponents. Always play against par. Sam Snead. Hang on, I think that needs a bit of updating. Forget your opponents. Always play against your own index. There we go.